Pay attention to this moment. A woman walking across a driveway toward a house. There's a package sitting on the porch steps. She's here to pick it up. Standard delivery job. Watch what happens when she reaches for it. Look at her face. That's the exact moment she realizes something is catastrophically wrong. Her hands go up. Universal gesture of surrender. She's backing away now. The elderly man who came down is walking toward her with purpose. Right hand held at his waist, something dark concealed against his body. That woman was Lolitha Hall, 61 years old, mother, Uber driver, $26 for a package pickup. The man walking toward her was William Brock, 81 years old. He'd been on the phone with scammers all morning. Within minutes, one of them would be dead. They moved out of frame. The security camera couldn't see what happened next, but Lolitha's dash cam was still recording. By the time this footage captured them again, he had already fired once. The Barriser bullet hit her leg. She's trying to run, but her body won't cooperate. Watch. This is what happened next. Look at him now. The gun is out, fully visible, pointed directly at her. That leap backward, that's not fear. That's a leg that can no longer hold her weight. She's still trying to get away, still begging, still hoping someone will hear her screams. He keeps walking, steady, purposeful, like a man who's already decided how this ends. March 25th, 2024, just after 11 in the morning, South Charleston, Ohio. A scam that started with a phone call ended with a woman bleeding out in a stranger's driveway. This is the story of how two people who'd never met became victim and killer in the span of 15 seconds, and how the real criminals behind this murder are still out there, still calling, still setting traps.
Turn now to the tragic story, this one out of Ohio.
A disturbing and frankly bizarre story.
A bizarre tragedy unfolded outside Springfield.
A scam call turned deadly.
Two people ensnared by a scammer.
The horrific, deadly shooting of a 61-year-old Uber driver.
A scam hitting Ohio, and it has turned deadly.
Getting a report of a female that has been shot.
Before we show you this video, it could be hard to watch.
To understand how this happened, you need to know who Lolitha Hall was, and more importantly, what she wasn't. Lolitha Hall, friends called her. Lolitha was 61 years old. She was a mother. She was working the gig economy like millions of Americans, driving for Uber to make ends meet. But Uber wasn't just about giving rides anymore. She'd signed up for their package delivery service, a feature that lets drivers pick up and transport parcels for extra income. It worked like food delivery, but for packages. Her son would later say she was more than just his mother. She was his best friend. The kind of bond where if you saw him, you saw her. Always together, always there for each other. On the morning of March 25th, Lolitha accepted what looked like a completely standard job request. Pick up a package at a house in South Charleston, deliver it across town. $26. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious. She had no idea who William Brock was. She'd never spoken to him. She had zero connection to the criminals who'd been calling his phone all morning. She was just doing her job, which brings us to the man who killed her. William Brock was 81 years old. He lived alone in a house outside South Charleston. By all accounts, he was just an ordinary elderly man, someone's grandfather, a veteran of 8 decades of life. But on March 25th, William Brock made a choice that transformed him into something else entirely. For hours that morning, scammers had been working him over the phone. They'd done their homework, researched his family, learned his nephew's name, crafted a story designed to terrify him. They told him his nephew had been arrested after a car accident. They said he needed $12,000 in bail money immediately. They said someone was coming to collect the cash. The calls kept coming. The pressure kept building. The threats got darker. They told him his family would be harmed if he didn't pay. At some point, Brock either realized it was all fake or simply decided he wouldn't be a victim. He made a series of decisions that morning, decisions that would end with a woman dead in his driveway. He didn't call the police. He didn't call his nephew to verify the story. He didn't reach out to a single family member to check if any of this was real. Instead, he went and got his pistol. He loaded it. He cocked the hammer. And he positioned himself to confront whoever showed up at his door. So now we have 2 people. A 61-year-old woman driving to a house to pick up a package, and an 81-year-old man standing behind a door with a loaded gun. Both completely unaware of each other's existence. Both about to collide in the most catastrophic way possible. Lolitha and William had no relationship. They were complete strangers. Brock didn't know Lolitha was coming. He just knew the scammers had told him someone would arrive to pick up the money. In his mind, after hours of threatening phone calls, that person would be dangerous. Lolitha didn't know anything about Brock's situation. Her Uber app just showed an address and a pickup time. She had no access to his phone calls, no awareness of any scam, no reason whatsoever to suspect danger. The scammers had weaponized this disconnect. They'd maneuvered 2 innocent people into the same space at the same time, fed them contradictory stories, and created the conditions for catastrophe. Brock believed whoever arrived was there to rob him or hurt his family. Lolitha believed she was picking up a package for $26. Neither knew the other existed until just after 11 that morning. And that's when everything that could go wrong did go wrong. The call started early. Brock's landline kept ringing. The voices on the other end were calm at first, professional, claiming to be law enforcement officers. Your nephew's been in an accident. He's been arrested. He needs bail money right now, $12,000. The conversation went on for hours. The scammers knew exactly how to work him. They alternated between sympathy and threats. They had his nephew's name. They had details that made the story believable. They told him a courier was being sent to his house to collect the money. Then they told him what would happen to his family if he didn't pay. Somewhere in those hours of phone calls, Brock's fear turned into something else. Maybe he figured out it was a scam. Maybe he just decided he was done being pushed around. Either way, he stopped being a potential victim and became something far more dangerous. He retrieved his gun, loaded it, cocked it, and waited. Meanwhile, the scammers were busy on another front, using a brand new Uber account created with a fake email and a voice over internet protocol number that couldn't be traced. They requested a package pickup at Brock's address. The app matched the request with drivers nearby. Lolitha Hall accepted the job. She drove to South Charleston, following her GPS to Brock's home. She had no idea what was waiting for her. And that brings us back to the moment you saw at the beginning of this video, the moment where 15 seconds of terror would end with 3 gunshots and a woman dead. Lolitha Hall had maybe 15 seconds to understand what was happening. It wasn't enough. She saw an elderly man walking toward her with a loaded pistol in his hand. Every instinct told her this was wrong. She raised her hands immediately, the universal gesture of surrender. "Help! Help!" she shouted, hoping anyone nearby would hear. "Sir, I'm here to pick up a package." Her voice carried pure desperation. She was trying to explain, trying to make him understand she wasn't a threat. Brock kept coming. "You're after this," he said, gesturing vaguely toward the house or the supposed package. His tone wasn't questioning. It was certain, decided. Lolitha was backing away now, hands still up, still trying to de-escalate. "Please don't do that. Please don't. It's right up there. You can see it. You can get it, sir. Please." She was on his property, yes, but she was retreating. She was unarmed. She posed absolutely no physical threat to him. Every word out of her mouth was an attempt to make him stop. Brock fired. The first bullet hit her. She screamed, a sound of pure shock and pain. She tried to turn, tried to run, but Brock fired again. And then a third time. Lolitha collapsed in the driveway. Brock stood there for a moment, then turned and walked back inside his house. Inside, his landline was still active. The scammers were still on the line, still playing their roles, completely unaware their scheme had just resulted in murder. Brock's call to emergency services. Actual audio.
I shot her in the leg the first time, and I shot her in the shoulder.
Why did you do that?
Because I was threatened that she was going to come and kill me. The guy on the phone center here.
Okay. So the male on the phone was trying to get money from you, and she was knocking on the door at the same time?
Yes, and he was telling me he was going to kill me and the family and everybody else around.
Minutes after the shooting, William Brock called 911. His voice was calm, almost casual, as he explained what he'd done. The dispatcher kept him talking while deputies raced to the scene. When police arrived, they found Lolitha lying in the driveway, critically wounded. Paramedics began life-saving efforts immediately, but the damage was catastrophic. Inside the house, deputies found something remarkable. Brock's landline was still connected, the scammers were still on the line, and what happened next is one of the most surreal moments in this entire case.
May I ask who I'm talking to?
Yes, this is the officer speaking.
Okay, what officer?
Yes.
No, I need to know what officer, sir.
You're gonna be in trouble.
Okay, let me ask you this. The female you sent over here, you know who she is?
Yes, I do.
A detective picked up the phone. The person on the other end was still pretending to be a law enforcement officer, still trying to maintain the fiction even as real police stood in the room. When the scammer realized something had gone wrong, the line went dead. Investigators traced the Uber request to a voice-over internet protocol number supposedly in Canada. It was a dead end. The account was brand new, created with temporary credentials that couldn't be traced to any real person. The scammers had vanished. Lolitha was rushed to Springfield Regional Medical Center. Despite emergency surgery, she died from her injuries that day. She was 61 years old. She'd been doing her job. She'd done absolutely nothing wrong. And now the question became, what happens to the man who pulled the trigger? 2 weeks later, on April 10th, William Brock was arrested and charged with murder. He posted $200,000 bail the next day and was released pending trial. Brock pleaded not guilty. His defense centered on Ohio's Stand Your Ground law, the legal principle that says you don't have to retreat from a threat in your own home before using deadly force. But prosecutors tore that argument apart. Stand Your Ground requires a legitimate threat. Lolitha Hall was unarmed. She was retreating. She was verbally begging for her life. She posed zero danger to William Brock. He had time to call the police instead of grabbing a gun. He had time to verify the scammer's claims with his nephew. He chose violence when no violence was necessary. The trial happened late last year. Jurors watched the footage. They heard the 911 call. They saw evidence that Lolitha had no knowledge of the scam whatsoever. The verdict came back guilty. Murder, felonious assault, kidnapping because he'd held her at gunpoint before killing her. William Brock faces 15 years to life in prison. He's scheduled for sentencing this month, but a guilty verdict doesn't bring Lolitha back. And it doesn't answer the question of who else bears responsibility for what happened that morning. Lolitha Hall's family buried her surrounded by a community that understood the absolute senselessness of her death. Her son stood at the memorial and described a woman who'd been more than his mother. She'd been his best friend, the person who shaped his entire life. The scammers who orchestrated this tragedy were never found. The fake phone numbers, the burner Uber account, the overseas operation, all of it designed to disappear without a trace. And that's what makes this case so haunting. Lolitha did everything right. She accepted a legitimate job through a legitimate company. She arrived on time. She identified herself clearly. She tried to de-escalate when confronted with a gun. She died anyway, not because of anything she did, not because she made a mistake, but because two criminals she'd never meet decided to weaponize a delivery app, and because William Brock decided the woman at his door deserved to be shot. Which raises an uncomfortable question. How easy was it for those scammers to set this trap? And is anyone doing anything to prevent it from happening again? After Lolitha's death, Uber released a statement calling the incident a horrific tragedy and announced they'd banned the account that ordered the pickup. But here's the problem with that response. The account was created using completely fake information. A virtual phone number that cost nothing, a temporary email address, a fake name that required no verification, no identification, no background check. Anyone can create an Uber account in minutes using these tools. Banning one fake account does nothing when 10 more can be created before lunch. The scammers trace their voice over Internet Protocol number to Canada, but that's meaningless. VoIP numbers can display any area code from any country. The actual scammers could have been anywhere in the world. Uber's package delivery service asks civilian drivers, people with no badges, no corporate identification, just minimum car insurance, to go to random addresses, pick up packages containing God knows what, and transport them to other locations without asking questions. Lolitha wasn't the first driver put in danger by this system. There have been other confrontations, other close calls, other moments where a driver walked into someone else's nightmare. She was just the first to die. This case exposes something deeply broken in how easily these platforms can be exploited. How a driver can be sent into danger with no verification, no protection, no way of knowing they're walking into a trap set by criminals they'll never see. And until something fundamental changes about how these services verify users and protect drivers, this won't be the last time a scam turns deadly. Lolitha Hall was a mother, a friend, a woman trying to make a living in an economy that forces people to cobble together gigs just to survive. She deserved so much better than this. Her death is a reminder that scams don't just steal money. They steal trust, they steal safety, and sometimes they steal lives.